Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Munaza Naveed. My roll number is BP1650154 and I am from group number 22. The topic of my group is hypertensive crisis and the topic which I am going to represent here is hypertensive urgencies. The hypertensive urgency is a subtype of hypertensive crisis. So before starting hypertensive urgencies, we must know what is hypertensive crisis. The term hypertensive crisis is defined as a severe elevation in blood pressure, generally considered to be a diastolic pressure of greater than 120 mm of mercury. The blood vessels become inflamed and may leak fluid or blood. As a result, the heart may not be able to pump blood effectively. Here, the systolic pressure may reach up to 180 mm of mercury, and a diastolic pressure may reach up to 120 mm of mercury or higher. The hypertensive crisis is divided into two main categories. That is, number one is hypertensive emergencies, number second is hypertensive urgencies. So there is a differentiating sign between the two. There is hypertensive emergency is a potentially life-threatening condition. It involves end organ damage, which requires immediate pressure reduction. While in case of hypertensive urgencies, it is not a life-threatening condition. It do not involve end organ damage with no pending complications. It is treated over several hours to several days. Now coming towards our main topic, that is hypertensive urgency. Hypertensive urgency occurs when blood pressure spikes. Blood pressure readings are 180 by 110 or higher, but there is no damage to the body's organs. Blood pressure can be brought down safely within a few hours with blood pressure medication. The differentiating sign here is the elevated blood pressure, that is 180 by 110 or higher. If we look into the stages of hypertension, we might see that the elevated blood pressure in hypertensive urgency lies in the range of stage 2 hypertension. That is, systolic pressure is greater or equal to 160 or diastolic pressure greater or equal to 100 mm of mercury. Now moving towards the etiology of hypertensive crisis. The etiology is variable. Use of sympathomimetics and thyroid dysfunction are among the possible causes of hypertensive urgencies. What are the sympathomimetics? These are the drugs which stimulate sympathetic nervous system, which includes blood pressure as well as heart rate. Even the anxiety and pain may cause acute elevations in blood pressure, which requiring a different treatment strategy. There is no routine evaluation for hypertensive urgencies. The goal is to rule out target organ damage. As we have discussed previously, that this is the differentiating sign between the hypertensive emergency and hypertensive urgency. That there is an organ damage only in hypertensive emergency. The treatment is to ensure better long-term blood pressure control. Rapid lowering of blood pressure in these patients offers no benefit and carries the theoretical risk of causing relative hypotension and organ hypoperfusion, especially in those individuals who have long-standing severely elevated blood pressure. However, it may be beneficial to start these patients on oral antihypertensives with the goal of lowering the blood pressure slowly over 24 to 48 hours. So, what are the treatment choices? Captopril, clonidine, labetalol, and minoxidil. Captopril is ACE inhibitor, which inhibits the conversion of angiotensin 1 to angiotensin 2. Angiotensin 2 is a vasoconstrictor, causes retention of sodium and water, which elevates blood pressure. Captopril inhibits angiotensin converting enzymes, so thereby reducing the production of angiotensin 2, hence reversing the effects of high blood pressure. Clonidine is a central alpha-2 agonist. Labetalol is alpha and beta adrenergic blocker. Minoxidil is an arterial and venous vasodilator. So here are the recommended doses with the route of administration. Captopril is given in the dose of 6.5 to 50 mg per oral. Clonidine is given in the range of 0.1 to 0.2 mg per oral initially, then 0.1 mg per hour up to 0.8 mg total. Labetalol is given in the range of 200 to 400 mg per oral repeated every 2 to 3 hours, while minoxidil is given in the range of 5 to 20 mg per oral. Here are the major side effects like captopril may cause hyperkalemia and angioedema, clonidine may cause sedation, dry mouth, and constipation. Labetalol may cause orthostatic hypotension, nausea and vomiting, and minoxidil may cause tachycardia and fluid retention in toxicity level. We have some other choices too, that is calcium channel blockers like amlodipine, isradipine, nicardipine, and we have a choices of diuretics too, that is chlorothiazide and hydrochlorothiazide. It has been recommended that electrolyte level must be monitored while giving diuretics. So coming towards our main topic, that is case study. Then we will prepare soap notes according to our case study. MM is a 60-year-old African American male with long history of heart failure, poorly controlled hypertension believed to be due to non-adherence, and a history of myocardial infarction. He was referred from community health center this morning for a thorough evaluation of his elevated blood pressure. He has not taken his captopril, amlodipine, or hydrochlorothiazide for the past 7 days. MM is completely asymptomatic. Physical examination reveals a BP of 180 by 120 millimeter of mercury and a pulse rate of 92 beats per minute. Fundoscopic examination is pertinent for mild arteriolar narrowing without hemorrhages or exudates. The discs are flat, his lungs are clear, and the cardiac examination is unremarkable. ECG indicating normal sinus rhythm at a rate of 90 beats per minute with first degree AV block. The chest radiograph is interpreted as mild cardiomegaly. Serum electrolytes, blood urea nitrogen, serum creatinine are within normal limits. Urine analysis is significant for 2 plus protein urea. What's the therapeutic objective in treating MM? How quickly should his PP be lowered and what therapeutic options are available? So we will cover all these questions in our case study. We have to prepare the SOAP notes. What are SOAP notes? Subjective, objective, assessment, and plan. So, starting from subjective. What is the chief complaint? That is elevated blood pressure, which is indicating stage 2 hypertension with a BP of 180 by 120 millimeter of mercury. What is the age of patient? He is 60 years old, gender male, history of illness is long. He has a long history of heart failure and a history of myocardial infarction. What are the current medications which the physician has prescribed him? Captopril, amlodipine, hydrochlorothiazide. But he has not taken his medication for the past 7 days. What is the objective? The vital signs. Blood pressure is 180 by 120 millimeter of mercury. It is quite elevated blood pressure, which is indicating it can be a hypertensive urgency with no organ damage. Pulse rate is 92 beats per minute. Lab reports are serum electrolytes, blood urea nitrogen, serum creatinine are within normal limits. Urine analysis indicating 2 plus protein urea, which is indicating a risk of kidney failure or a kidney disease. Diagnostic data is the fundoscopic examination is mild arterial narrowing without hemorrhages or exudates. Lungs are clear and the cardiac examination is unremarkable. ECG is indicating normal sinus rhythm at a rate of 90 beats per minute with first degree AV block. The chest X-ray is interpreted as mild cardiomegaly. So what we are assessing here, what is the assessment? We are assessing the hypertensive urgency by the blood pressure and with no organ damage. As no evidence exists to indicate a rapid deterioration in the function of target organs, MM's lack of PB control is related to medication non-adherence. As we have discussed previously that the MM has not taken his medications for the past 7 days. So this is the cause of elevated blood pressure. So what is the plan? We have to continue with the safe medications as he has been on. Dosing is captopril is given in the dose of 25 to 50 milligram per oral half an hour before meal. Amlodipine is given in the dose of 5 milligram per day per oral at the same time daily. Now, hydrochlorothiazide is given in the dose of 25 milligram per day per oral, preferably in the morning. There is no evidence of encephalopathy, cardiac decompensation, chest pain, or rapid change in renal function. Therefore, no evidence exists to indicate a rapid deterioration in the function of target organs. As is often the case, MM's lack of BP control is related to medication non-adherence. MM's clinical presentation requires that his BP be lowered over the next several hours while being careful not to induce hypertension. So here we have the rapid-acting oral agents. Parenteral therapy is not warranted because parenteral therapy we are usually using in hypertensive emergency. A number of different oral regimens using clonidine, captopril, labetalol, prazosin, or minoxidil are available, as we have discussed previously. So what we are counseling a patient that he has to take his medications regularly as prescribed. Otherwise, his BP will be elevated. And monitor his BP regularly. He should modify his lifestyle. He should exercise daily. He should have a healthy diet. So, what is the goal of therapy? Restarting his medications in a controlled manner, as not to drop his BP too rapidly, may be also a reasonable treatment. Captopril decreases both afterload and preload, increases regional blood flow, and lowers total peripheral vascular resistance. For this reason, captopril and other ACE inhibitors are often considered the drug of choices in patients with heart failure. After oral administration, the onset of action of captopril occurs within minutes and peaks 30 to 90 minutes after ingestion. Sublingual captopril 25 milligrams significantly reduces angiotensin II levels within 24 hours. Other than oral captopril are not useful for acutely lowering blood pressure because onset of action is too low. So later he can be shifted to a regimen designed to enhance outpatient compliance by selecting medications with once daily dosing. Here we could start with the lisinopril and ACE inhibitors for outpatient maintenance. But we will start first of all start with the oral antihypertensives. Then we will go with we shifted to a lisinopril or other ACE inhibitors for the outpatient maintenance. The electrolytes level must be monitored before and after the therapy. So, what is a non pharmacological treatment? It includes lifestyle modifications like dietary modifications, exercise, avoiding stress, and self monitoring of blood pressure. So, as we have discussed that the stress, anxiety, fear may elevate blood pressure, which could be a cause of hypertensive urgency. So, avoiding a stress, it is a very good treatment for the hypertensive urgency. So, what are the toxicities? Captopril may cause cough, angioedema, hyperkalemia, renal impairment, and teratogenic effect is also there. ACE inhibitors actually increasing bradykinin level, prolong its action, and also decreases angiotensin II and aldosterone level. The combination of these mechanisms results to local and general vasodilation, followed by a fluid extravasation into the subcutaneous tissues, causing angioedema. Amlodipine may cause swelling, pulmonary edema, headache, fatigue, dizziness, nausea, and vomiting. While hydrochlorothiazide is a diuretic, it blocks sodium chloride transporter in renal distal convoluted tubules, which reduces blood volume as well as blood pressure. It may cause hyponatremia, hypokalemia, hypoglycemia, hyperuricemia, and hypolipidemia. So that is why the diuretics, in while giving diuretics, the electrolytes level must be monitored. It is highly recommended. What are the drug interactions? The captopril diuretic potentiates the antihypertensive effects of captopril. With potassium-sparing diuretics, they are having increased chance of hyperkalemia. As we know, serum potassium level is narrow, that is 3.5 to 5.5 milliequivalent per liter. When too much potassium is in the body, your heart beats irregularly, which in the worst cases can cause heart attack. And do not give it with NSAIDs, contraindicated in second and third trimester of the pregnancy because it is harmful to a developing baby. And doses should be reduced in patients, in elderly patients, and with decreased kidney function, and the people with heart failure and low blood fluid volume or force level. It is highly contraindicated in diarrhea, vomiting, dehydration because it will worsen the condition. So better is to reduce the dose in if such conditions exist. Amlodipine has an interaction with cytochrome 3A4 inhibitors. Cytochrome 3A4 inhibitors inhibit cytochrome 3A4, which actually metabolizes amlodipine, leading to an increased concentration of amlodipine in the blood. So hydrochlorothiazide has additive effects with captopril and other ACE inhibitors like lisinopril, and which is contraindicated in patients with anuria, failure of the kidney to produce urine. So what should be monitored after reading this case study? Electrolyte level must be monitored. Nifedipine, when given orally or by the bite and swallow method was previously recommended as a rapid-acting alternative to parenteral therapy in the acute management of hypertension. However, its use has been associated with the adverse effect due to ischemia, mild myocardial infarction, and stroke. Use of rapid-acting nifedipine to acutely lower BP is potentially dangerous and should be discouraged in MM. His age, history of myocardial infarction, absence of symptoms, lack of progressive target organ damage warrant the acute and acute and potentially dangerous drop in blood pressure. So, what should we recommend here? We have to go for the oral antihypertensive therapy, which is the first line of treatment. Given that MM appeared to be well controlled on his ACE inhibitors prior to stopping his medication, it is reasonable to start on ACE inhibitors and reinforce medication adherence issues. So we are counseling the patient not to skip his medication, otherwise his BP will be elevated. So that's all for my presentation. Hope you like it. Thank you.